Last week, I posted a photo of my homemade bread on my Instagram story, and so many people reached out and asked for the recipe. So today we're gonna spend a cozy day baking together. It's gonna be so much fun. Once you try this recipe, you will not wanna go back to store-bought bread ever again. It's surprisingly easy to make. It does take a few hours, but it's honestly so worth it. I'm gonna get the ingredients ready, so let's get right into it. So these are the ingredients. Super simple. All you need is some olive oil, flour, yeast, sugar, and salt. So first things first, we are going to activate our yeast. To do this, we're gonna add some warm water to a bowl. You wanna make sure that it's warm and not hot, otherwise it will kill the yeast. Then we are going to be adding the yeast straight to the bowl, and then some sugar to feed it. And then we're gonna give it a nice little stir. This mixture needs to sit for about 10 minutes. You'll notice a nice fluffy layer on the top, and that's when you know that it's been activated. If you don't see that, throw it out and start over, otherwise your bread will not turn out. While that's activating, in a separate large bowl, we're gonna mix all of the dry ingredients together. So we're gonna start with the flour. We're gonna do 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm using pink Himalayan salt, but you can use whatever you have. And then we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of olive oil. After about 10 minutes, this is what the yeast mixture should look like. It should be nice and foamy on the top. Okay, now it's time to form our bread. We have our 2 separate bowls here. In the bigger bowl, we have the flour and the dry ingredients. In the smaller bowl, we have the yeast mixture. So to start, we're just gonna pour this over the flour and everything that we just mixed together. And then we're gonna start forming a dough just by stirring it first. Now, as you can see, everything's coming together pretty nicely. So I don't have a KitchenAid. I used to. So if you're doing this by hand, you need to knead it for at least 10 minutes to make sure you get a nice dough. Once it kind of looks like this, you can start kneading. It always drives me crazy when I see someone wearing rings on cooking shows because it is so hard to sanitize that. So make sure your hands are nice and clean for this step. As you continue kneading, you'll notice that the dough gets kind of gummy. So you can add in about 1 handful of flour. Don't add any more because it'll change the consistency of your bread. Just enough that you can knead it nicely without it getting stuck to your hands. I have about 6 minutes to go, and I won't lie, this is tiring me out. So once your dough is formed, this is what it should look like. Nice and soft, but still has a pretty good structure. We need to allow this little baby to rise for at least an hour to get a delicious loaf. So in a large bowl, make sure it's big enough because it gets like twice its size. You're going to add some olive oil so it doesn't stick. Don't add too much because I've made that mistake before. And it kind of makes your bread oily in the end. So you want to make sure that it's just enough to kind of coat the bowl in a nice layer. I like to name my dough. So today this is Baby Giuseppe. It won't rise properly if you don't name it because that means you don't love it enough. So I like to use saran wrap to cover it. It traps a lot of heat and moisture and makes the perfect rise. We are gonna let this bad boy rise for about 1 hour covered. And in the meantime, let's talk about Harry Potter. So you guys may be wondering why I even want to talk about Harry Potter. That's like super random. But I just watched the movies for the very first time in my life. Don't ask me why it took me so long. I was like so clueless about the whole Harry Potter thing for my whole life. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm finally gonna watch it. I'm on the last 2 movies, so please don't spoil anything. But I want to know more about the Dementors personally because I don't know why they don't just go into the real world and cause havoc. Like I asked my boyfriend this and he's like, oh, it's because the ministry like has rules, but it's like, can they even speak and can they even read? And they're very evil, obviously, so like why would they follow rules? So I don't really understand that. And like if they did come to Earth for even like an hour, I think they would like completely destroy us because there's like thousands of them and they'd probably cause an ice age. They'd kill us all. So it's like, I don't know why they wouldn't do that, because that's what I would be doing if I was a Dementor. And like, they don't even have to take accountability for anything, because they can just shoot like a million miles into the atmosphere and like we won't even see them again. So I'm hoping that in the last two movies they give me a bit more closure about like the Dementors and like what their deal is. I obviously know Harry Potter is gonna live because like he's the chosen one. I don't know how everything else is gonna unfold, but it would be really cool to be a Dementor for Halloween. I feel like maybe people would just think I'm being a Grim Reaper or something, but really interesting movie so far. I love it. I'm definitely a Harry Potter fan. So the bread has about 50 minutes to rise. I'm gonna get a few things done. I'm gonna clean up because I have flour all over my kitchen right now, and then we'll get right back into baking once it's finished. Okay, so it has officially been 1 hour and look how good our dough looks so far. It's nice and puffy and honestly smells so good. So now we're gonna prepare for our second rise, which has a few steps. So I wanted to talk about my Dutch oven quickly. You don't necessarily need a Dutch oven to make bread. I've done this recipe a few times without it and it comes together just fine, but I would highly suggest getting one if you want the perfect loaf. My boyfriend got me this as a gift from Winners. So if you have a Winners or TJ Maxx in your area, I would really recommend checking them out for the Dutch oven because they're much cheaper there. So we are going to start by preheating the real oven to 450 degrees because we need to preheat this. So I'm gonna go do that right now. So if you are using a Dutch oven, it's really important to measure it first with the parchment paper because we are gonna do the rise on the parchment paper just to make everything easier and so that it doesn't stick. And if you wait and do this while it's hot, you're definitely gonna burn yourself. So you're just gonna put your paper inside. And then this is the perfect size for the parchment paper. We're gonna take it out now. We're gonna put the Dutch oven's lid back on and we're gonna pop this in the oven at 450 degrees for 30 minutes to get it nice and hot for the bread. Now it's time to form our loaf. We are gonna take this out. Look how nice our dough is looking so far. I like to line my table with plastic wrap to make sure it's nice and clean. This is how you do a loaf. So you start by pressing the dough into a nice rectangular shape, and then you can flip it and do the other side. So you want to have like a large rectangle. And what you're going to do is you're going to start by folding it inwards and inwards again. And you're going to press it down a little bit to get rid of any air bubbles that may have formed. And then once you kind of have this long folded rectangle, you are going to start at one end and you're just going to roll it. And then you get, it kind of looks like this. It has an edge. You're going to squeeze that edge together and then the ends kind of look like this. So you're going to try to tuck those underneath, if that makes sense. And it's going to take a little bit of playing around, but eventually you'll get a nice loaf shape. Baby Giuseppe is looking the best he ever has. So the Dutch oven is just preheating for 30 minutes while this does its second rise. So we are going to open the lid, be very careful with this step, and we are going to carefully position Giuseppe inside. Did a pretty good job on the size this time. You don't want to go too deep. You want to go like 1/4 of an inch. We are going to put the lid on now. This bakes for 30 minutes at 450 with the lid on, and then 15 minutes with the lid off. So now it's time to remove the lid and let it bake for another 15 minutes. Wow, look at that. Look how golden that crust looks. We're gonna pop it in for 15 minutes to allow it to set, and then our bread is ready. So the bread just came out of the oven. Look how crispy and delicious this turned out. My kitchen smells like a bakery right now, and I am so excited to eat this. I'm gonna transfer this to a cooling rack. I love how this turned out, and it just looks so amazing. We're going to carefully grab the sides of the parchment paper to lift it out. Wow, guys, look how good that is. And then it's really important to let it cool with holes in the bottom. So this is a bread cutting board that I got. And you just want to allow the bread to fully cool down before cutting. Look at those golden edges. This is probably one of the nicest loaves that I've ever made. My place smells so good and I am so tempted to eat this bread. I have about another 30 minutes to wait, so I'm gonna take Bam Bam for a nice walk to distract myself for a little bit. And it looks like a very beautiful sunny day outside. Come on. Come on, Bam. He may be almost 15, but he is still as enthusiastic as ever. Come on, let's go. He always wants me to chase him. Come on, let's go. Do you wanna go for a walk? You wanna go for a walk? Can't tell me he's not a good boy for allowing me to carry him like this. You can tell he's so annoyed, but we're just on our way to the park. It's a beautiful day. And then we're gonna have some bread. Well, I'm gonna have some bread. It is such a beautiful day outside. Bam Bam always walks very slow on our walk, so I've learned to just be very patient with him. I'm honestly not excited for it to be fall. Like, I'm gonna miss wearing shorts and like tank tops outside. In Toronto, once it gets cold out, there's like no turning back. It's cold for like 8 months. So I'm enjoying the last warm days. I think after I finish baking this bread, I'm gonna go play some pickleball for a little bit. So I'm really excited to enjoy the weather and have some nice fresh bread in my kitchen for the next few days. I could be wrong, but I believe this is echinacea, which is so good for immunity. Obviously not fresh like this, but in a tea. What's that, Bam? You're smelling the flowers? Don't eat anything. Come on, don't do that. Maybe he senses it's good for him. Come on, let's go. I just got back in from my walk and this bread is ready to be cut. Look how delicious it looks. The crust is so golden brown. I can't wait to try this out. I'm gonna grab my bread cutting knife and some fresh apricot jam and let's try this. I am so excited. All right, guys, it is time to sample my bread. I can't believe how good this turned out. I think this is one of my best loaves. I cut it nice and thick. Look how delicious that looks. It's so soft on the inside and then has a nice crisp crust. I put some fresh apricot jam on top and my mouth is watering. I am beyond excited to try this out. Guys, I hate to toot my own horn, but this is by far the best bread I think I've ever tried. Oh my goodness. It is so good. I can't even believe it. Well, guys, I'm gonna end the video here so I can go hang out with Giuseppe. I honestly am amazed by how good this loaf turned out. I created a fun little template and I posted it in my description, which has all of the ingredients and instructions for today's recipe. So be sure to check that out. I post a new video every single Saturday, so make sure you subscribe, like, comment, help your girl get that engagement up, and I will see you guys next week.